Alright, so tonight I'm doing a crankshaft pulley seal replacement on a 2003 Honda CR-V. First thing I want to mention is to get to the crankshaft, number one, you got to go in through the side passenger wheel well, take the wheel off, put it up on jack stand, and pull off the cover that covers up the crankshaft pulley. That's the crankshaft pulley right there. But in order to get the crankshaft pulley off, you have to take off the serpentine belt. In order to take off the serpentine belt, you have to loosen the tensioner pulley, which I'm using this handy dandy tool here. It's very thin, it's very close and compact. That's on loaner from a neighbor. Tensioner pulley is down here. One of the things I did do was loosen the power steering. It's just clips on, but take the power steering reservoir off. But in order to get the to the tensioner pulley, the engine prop rod that is factory on the vehicle is worthless because it gets right in your way. So what I did was I suspended the hood of the car, just opened it up as far as I could, took a ratchet strap, hooked it on the latch hook for the hood, and tied it off to my garage door opener. Not a lot of weight on it, just keeping it out of the way. Open it up as far as you can. Alright, so I had an oil leak, or still have an oil leak. So where I started was with the valve cover gasket replacement. Pulled this off last weekend and replaced the valve cover gasket, and still had an oil leak. The next thing, you'll see videos out there for the VTEC. This is a VTEC 2.4 liter. There's a VTEC oil solenoid that sits right down behind the valve cover that you can also access through the passenger side wheel well by taking the wheel off, and then an oil sensor unit as well. So I replaced those last weekend also, along with the valve cover valve cover gasket replacement. Today, still have an oil leak, or have had all week, to the extent of I've had the vehicle up in the air for maybe an hour and a half, and you can see the amount of oil that's already on the garage floor, just within an hour and a half. So the next thing I'm going after is going to be the crankshaft pulley. Again, crankshaft pulley going through the passenger side wheel well is this right here. You got to take that bolt off. That's a 19 millimeter bolt, and it's a tough bolt. It is a pretty hefty bolt. Trying to find out what I do with it. Hold on just a second. Alright, so removing the pulley, it is splined, and you should be able to just pull it off. Give me a little hard time, but I did have it starting to slide. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pull this with both hands. I'm going to get rid of the camera for a second, pull it, and show you the seal. Okay, so I've got the pulley off, and you can see that clearly this is where the oil leak was coming from. You can see all the oil residue on the side of the motor, and goes down into the oil pan, which kind of made me think that it might be an oil pan gasket. Please note that there is this keyway right here. You can see it, little slot right there. The keyway does come out, and when it comes out, it's gonna fall. But anyway, here's the keyway right here. So you want to make sure you hold on to this little guy, because that's got to go back in. I'm going to get that cleaned up, take all the dirt that fell off or got attached to it from the oil leak, and reinsert that. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the gasket now and clean this side of the motor up, and that way I can further monitor what's going on with it. Alright, so I've got the gasket loose, and what I used was a 5-in-1 tool, a painter's tool. Whoop, the gasket just fell out. I had it loosed just to show you, but just use that and pry around, work it around the edges from the inside out. You don't want to pry on the outside and mess up this outside perimeter. So now I'm going to go ahead and take some cleaner and clean all this up, and hit it with some Scotch-Brite pad. Make sure all this edge right here is completely clean. Clean it with a good Scotch-Brite pad. Make sure we got a good seal going back in there. Alright, so here's the seal once I took it out. You can clearly see that there's a lot of oil residue on the seal, but also on the back side you can look at it. Some of this damage was probably done from me prying it out, but if you look at it, how dry and brittle it is, I mean, just flaking off, you know, flaking off in my hand. There's pieces of the seal that are just breaking off, so it was definitely due for replacement. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to use is some Gunk Instant Parts Cleaner and Degreaser. I'm just going to spray up underneath there really well. I'm also going to pull my oil pan into place, get it up underneath there, so it's going to catch all the debris that's coming off of that motor as I'm